Hello there, and welcome back to Dr. Robotnik's Ring Racers. Is now a good time to be releasing episodes of this playthrough, right around the release date of a major new official Sonic release that just so happens to be a racing game as well? No, not really. It's probably a terrible idea, in fact. As I made my way through the Swap Cup, as you're just about to see, I kept trying to do things that are only possible in Crossworlds, then, after recording had finished, I booted up that game and kept trying to use rings as an accelerator in Apatos. Confusion is guaranteed over the next few episodes, but that's my problem and not yours. So, sit back, relax, and watch me struggle. Cyan Bell Tower was the first track here, and it's themed after a Japanese temple. It looks the part and it sounds the part, but maybe it took a little too much stock in the Japanese principles of restraint and minimalism, because there is nothing going on here. It's a 2-lap race with no gimmicks to speak of, unless you consider the decision to make every single corner here a solid 90 or 180 degree turn to be a gimmick. It may make the course unique, but when it comes to adding commentary after the fact, it leaves a man with not much to actually comment on. I fell off the course twice, but the AI didn't really do much to inconvenience or otherwise challenge me, and seeing as they all seemed to struggle with cornering far more than I did, I crossed the line with a mighty lead. The most surprising outcomes were those of my rivals, who had somehow ended up in 4th and 5th. I can't really claim to feel sorry for them, what with all of the trouble they usually put me through, but it isn't something I see very often. Quartz Quadrant was a welcome change of pace from the placidity of Cyan Bell Tower. I've grown accustomed to ring races' antics, and any race that could be described as calm is a cause for concern. My desire for more input from my AI competitors was quenched by the introduction of controllable conveyor belts, which can be inverted for other races by passing a nearby switch. It gives you an opportunity to sabotage anyone on them without need of an item, and it cost me a faster line at least once. I also noticed a change in skybox midway through the level from underground cavern to outdoor mountain range, which was impressively well executed and is the main thing I remember from my race. That is, discarding my last minute triple overtake. Finally, playing as a super heavyweight actually paid off for something, or at least got me into second. Aquatic Cathedral 1 started strong as I destroyed several prisons in quick succession. Unfortunately, I then floundered when faced with this setup, a floating prison high above a quarter pipe. It's a common trope in multiple arenas, but I still haven't figured out what you're really meant to do when dealing with it, and I've just found various ways around dealing with it head on. Unfortunately, that wasn't possible here, and I ended up running out of time. Aqua Tunnel is a good course. The opening of the race was a poor showing as I drove over this green slab and got propelled straight into the start line, but I managed to claw my way back into the competition over the course of the first lap. Having a set of sneakers to exploit tripwires makes the first 2/3 go by in a flash, and then my high speed and drift power was instrumental in speeding past everyone in the final Aqua Tunnel. Whoa, that's the name of the track. Metal Sonic had somehow ended up as my rival, with Knuckles and Egg Robo having somehow ended up barely being able to compete, and his consecutive wins were becoming worrisome, but I was still placing well as runner-up, and was therefore able to stay in the overall lead. I just needed to keep it up, and for once, hope Knuckles got a little more competitive. Never thought I'd be saying that.
I just needed to keep it up, and for once, hope Knuckles got a little more competitive.
Yeah, forget I ever said that. Turns out I prefer Knuckles being a knuckle dragger, because as soon as he started trying, I ended up needing to restart. Water Palace started off fairly well, and I even got a good use out of a bubble shield before I was forced off the track and lost my ground. It was when I returned to that general area in the second lap that everything fell apart. Firstly, a giant drop target sent me flying into the back of the pack, and then I kept driving off the track, so my gap kept growing larger and larger. It was only when I got some rocket sneakers that I was able to get somewhere and squeeze out another last minute triple overtake. But by that point, first through fourth had already crossed the checkered flag. A second attempt was stronger, although far from desirable. I ended up squeaking past the cutoff, but that was in spite of shrinks in a garden top, hindering me throughout the race. Aquatic Cathedral 2. Looking back, there were a lot of water tracks in this cup. It was a lot easier than his predecessor, but no less boring. Nothing really happened as I drove around aimlessly, other than taking a couple of attempts to hit this one prison and then spending ages driving up to the final throw. With a generous timer and no difficult prisons, you should be able to get an A rank on this pretty easily. The best part about Final Fall is how beautiful it looks. Something about the colour palette and placement of the main road makes it look so much lusser and more alive than all of the other tracks with similar grassy aesthetics. And although I didn't notice it during my race, the skybox with its falling islands is one of the best in the game. The course layout is also strong, with steep slopes used perfectly to make even the sharpest corners feel fast. In fact, most of the track is on the downward slope, and so you need some way to scale back up for the start of the next lap. That's achieved here by this series of springs, which is a layout commonly repeated from as early as Green Hill, but this set in particular did not like me. In the first lap I simply didn't get bounced properly and was forced to respawn. In the second lap, I was nearly knocked back down the hole by another racer, and it was pure luck that I happened to have a flame shield from earlier to boost me forwards and stay in the race. In the final lap, it finally worked properly, and I managed to beat out the competition to claim first immediately after. With that final victory, and with Metal Sonic placing fairly low, I was able to leapfrog him on the leaderboard and steal back my first place right when it mattered. Unsurprisingly though, what with all of the poor results, I was unable to enter the Shield Star, albeit only by the lack of a few points. That was honestly a good thing in my eyes though, as I was rusty and probably wouldn't have gotten the Emerald anyway, and it meant that I was able to quickly get back to playing more Crossworlds, so it was the complete lack of exciting unlocks and challenges that was the real disappointment. There are no more spray cans to collect, seeing as I had got them all during live streams, no CDs were dropped by any prisons, and I hadn't even inadvertently completed the challenge through blind luck. And with the next couple already unlocked, I didn't even have the satisfaction of seeing that one drop. It was a little deflating. Now well, I've got Crossworlds to get back to, and I'm sure many of you are in the same boat, so I won't drag this out any longer. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next episode, but for now, ciao.